Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I'm the Stretch Professor, and today we're going to be looking at some of the new items that are going to be coming up soon. I'm not sure exactly when they're coming up, but people told me on stream that they're previewing some of these new items on the PvE, so that's what we're going to be doing. So as always, if you enjoy the content, please be sure to like and subscribe. It really helps out a ton on the channel. If you would like to come check out the stream, we stream most nights starting around 10 p.m. Usually go until about midnight, sometimes 1 a.m., and occasionally I can stay a little bit longer on the weekends. So my hours are a bit more limited for now. There's a chance I could start a bit earlier, maybe play a little bit more, but I try to at least come out for a couple hours most nights for everybody. So come by, hang out, and let's go ahead and get in here. Now, I am having to use just this random Twitter, basically, from SpiderAxe. I mean, he's not a total random. Like, he's got some followers, but I really wish that this was in a centralized, like, list area, like Surrender at 20, like they used to. I couldn't find it there. There was something on, like, a Reddit thread that sort of had some of this information, but not all of it. And the big problem with a tweet like this, first of all, it's kind of hard to find. But second of all, we gotta, like, you got random comments, and you have, like, retweets this guy did, and then, like, occasionally, like, ads pop up. So it's just kind of annoying that it's not just a list of the stuff that you have to get through everything else. But it is what it is. We'll just try to get through it. And it's kind of in a random order, too. Like, they have some stuff for ADCs early, then they got stuff for support, and then they, eventually circle back and have more stuff for ADCs. So it's just kind of all over the place, but we'll just do the best we can. Overall, I do like a lot of the changes. I think that it will make some nice positive impacts for the game. And as soon as we have more concrete information, obviously I will update this and, do another video. But these are just kind of early days, early thoughts. Okay, so mortal reminder, getting a little bit extra AD. I think this is good. Overall, these items should be less. I really liked it when you could combine and make these types of items for like 2,500 gold. I wish they had more mid-range utility items that were kind of lower on stats, but you could at least get a little bit of, tempo advantage, or just get some kind of, something to offset the fact that you're already going to be losing power by getting these utility items like Grievous Wounds. But at least they're giving it a little bit more punching power. They're giving it more AD. Mercurial Scimitar is a little weird, I think, because you're not really buying this for the magic resist, right? You just have a QSS early on because they have some extreme piece of CC that you need to try to get around. Like a Mordekaiser or something like that. And yes, magic resist is okay, but I think a lot of people just kind of sit on the QSS and then eventually get a Mercurial Scimitar if they absolutely have to, if their inventory is full. And I think people would much rather at that point in the game just have more AD or just have a cheaper item. But I guess it's something. They do need to power it up a little bit so it doesn't feel as bad to buy it. Price is down a little bit. Again, this is a super niche item that I just don't think you're going to see in a lot of places. Shield Bow, now that Shield Bow is not a mythic, will probably take the place of this just because it's going to have more offense on it. But I guess like non-crit champions, might still prefer to get Maw at some point. But yeah, really niche. Is not going to affect the meta too much, I don't think. Both of these are going to obviously be a little bit better against mages, so magic damage in general might take a little bit of a hit here. Which is kind of weird, because I feel like mages aren't in a great spot right now. A lot of mages. There are some that are doing alright, but I feel like the AD champions, just as a broad class, are doing better. Crochet Shard, okay, so I believe instead of attack speed, this has AD. This is huge. Early on, 15 AD is quite a lot. That's like, I don't know, whatever 35 times 15 is, like 500 something, 550. And then you're getting the 60 extra burst damage. This is nice because attack speed is pretty garbage in the laning phase, so getting this as a component, it was cool that you get the 60 extra damage, but having flat AD is going to scale with, most abilities a lot better. So someone, like Jin, who might want to get, something like this kind of early on. I still don't think he's going to rush this, but if you want like an early rapid fire cannon and you want to pressure and you want to take advantage of this, then that could be good. Presumably, this is going to build in a static shiv. I think they might have that previewed in a little bit. I believe they're bringing that back. So yeah, I think this is a really good change for champs that want this. Because again, attack speed is garbage. If you're going to have attack speed on the item, like make it a later thing or paired with something else like critical strike that you have on Zeal. The attack speed itself feels pretty bad. I think he said this is probably not a new game or not a new item. Okay, Phantom Dancer attack speed has a new build path. Okay, so it's not using... Yeah, it doesn't do proc damage, so why would it have the Crochet Shard? But, okay, 2,800 gold. I think these, again, were better at kind of these mid-range prices, the 2,500, 2,600. I don't like them as much at 28 because I feel like a lot of times you might just want to buy just a bigger AD item at that point. Although this does have AD on it, whereas back in the day it used to just be attack speed and crit. And it still does see like a pretty good amount of use. So the problem with this item and a lot of items in general over the last few years is so many of them are too generalist, and I think they said that in a recent post as to why they're making these changes. Like, they made a post about the item changes, but then they didn't actually post the items. So that was a little awkward to show you what the changes were. And I mean, they probably didn't because this is PvE. They might change the numbers on it, but it'd be nice if they used some specific examples. But yeah, this is one where it's like you got AD, attack speed, crit, movement speed, you know, some kind of movement speed active. It doesn't have any defense on it, but it's just like too many inputs is what they say. Like, it just gives you too many things. I think there needs to be much more specialization in items. Because right now, with the Mythic, there's just so much bloat. It's like, all these items, especially the Bruiser items, they'll have AD on them, they'll have lifesteal, some kind of survivability stat on it, ability haste, and then like some kind of crazy wave clear, basically gore drinker. A lot of items are like that. And I just think we need to go back to just thinking about what do you need at this point in the game. Do you want more utility? Do you want more survivability? Do you want more sustain damage? Do you want more burst damage? I think we need to start asking those kinds of questions and making more specific items. So maybe a couple of generalist items every now and then, but I think that in general, like, specific targeted items would be a lot better. Okay, so anyways, I think they've made this a little too generalist by adding the AD, but whatever, it's fine. Zeal, they're bringing it down a little bit. That's probably good. This item was really efficient in general. I think they should bring down Serrated Dirk as well, and then, you know, make the completed items basically the same, but just make the Dirk itself a little bit, probably a little bit more expensive. I just feel like lethality is too cheap as a stat. You know, an armor is like 20 gold to build, and I think a lethality is like 5 or something. And, you know, they used to kind of be able to get away with that because there just weren't that many items with lethality, you know, back in the day. But now there are a lot of different lethality options. But anyways, that's just speculative. They're not doing that. Okay, Collector. I'm not sure why they're buffing this. Like, this is technically an assassin item, but some AD carries get this. You know, some bruisery type of champions might get this with some builds. So, like Master Yi or something. I mean, he's not a bruiser, but there's a lot of champs that already get this item, and I felt like it was already really effective. So I'm not sure why they felt they had to buff this, but okay. Okay, support items, and these are some of the more interesting ones, which is great because we do a lot of support content on the channel. But this Zeke's change is huge. This is going to be really nice for tanks. They took the mana off. And as I've been saying for years, you don't need mana on tanks in 2023, right? Like, most tanks have been balanced to where, you know, their costs are really low. And as a support, you have to go back all the time anyways and refill your wards, like, every minute because the enemy's going to clear them all. So you just don't need mana. Or just, like, one item that's, like, a tank mana item, right? Like, whatever that tier builds into, that tank item for Tarek or something, it's like, okay, right? Like, maybe Frozen Heart. I still think Frozen Heart would be much more interesting if it did not have the if it didn't have the mana on it. If they just like gave it more ability haste or made its aura stronger. If you gave it health, that'd probably be too strong. But anyways, they're doing this with Zeke's. So they're giving it health. They're giving it base health regen, and they're lowering the cost from 2,400 down to 2,200. I think this is a deal. I think that's really good. So, higher HP. Oh, it has lower armor. What was it? 30? I thought it was. I thought it had always been 25. Maybe it was 30. It said no mana. How much was it? 200 health. So it's got 150 health. I think it was 200 health. So that's 150. So that's, I don't know, like 325 gold ish. I think the base health regen is also new. That's kind of a garbage stat as well. I think that's marginally more useful than the mana, but that's probably about the equivalent of cost to the mana. It's probably somewhere in the ballpark, but you're saving 200 gold on it. I think it's probably better. Like, the gold saving is huge because so much of support is, being able to get cheap and efficient items and get, a really good tempo, because a lot of the times you're not going to have gold as most supports. Okay, so that's good. And the Knight's Vow is nuts. Like, this is already, I feel like, low-key, probably the best follow-up item on most tanks. On a lot of tanks, it's really good. On Rakan, it's extremely good. I get this most of the time, second item. So this has more health as well, or this has less health. So it had 400. It's going down to 350, so you're losing a little bit there. But you get 25 armor. Like, that's huge. That's like 500 gold worth of armor that you're getting on this thing in exchange for effectively losing 50 health, which is like a little over 100 gold value. And it's straight up 200 gold cheaper, I think. I think it's 2,400 now. It could be 23, but I think it's 24. So you're getting like 700 gold value for the cost of losing 50 health and some like base health regen, like maybe 75% health regen. Awesome. All day, every day. Give me that deal. So this is just going to be a phenomenal item. It's already really good. And they're not changing this. It still is increased up to 20% damage redirection, which is really strong. And they still heal you for all the damage that they do. So I think that's going to be... That's borderline too powerful. Okay. On the other side of that spectrum, they are really hurting the enchanter items pretty hard, at least at a couple of these legendary spots. So the big takeaway here is they're removing ability haste. This is really foolish to me because enchanters, all they have are their abilities. Like, that's it. Just the disruption and protection of allies. It's ability haste. That's almost all they scale with. Most of them don't do damage, or don't do a lot of damage. They can't soak skill shots. Most of them can't start fights very well. They can't really do the vision game very well because they can get caught out and killed easily, most of them. They can't roam very well because they can get caught out and killed. I'm thinking like Yuumi, Lulu, stuff like that. Obviously, things like Janna can roam a little bit better. This, in general, enchanters really, really need ability haste. Like, they're the OG champs that had ability haste, and tank items used to not have very much on it, and other roles did not have very much, except in very limited circumstances. That was the defining item of enchanter supports, was ability haste, or the defining stat. Now everyone else has it, and enchanters don't. So they already took it off of Ardent Censor when they did a lot of these item reworks. They took it off of Staff of Flowing Water, and now they're taking it off of Mikhail's, and they're taking it off of Redemption. So, really bad call, in my opinion. I do like that they're changing the magic resist to health, because it feels really bad if you just need to cleanse CC, but they don't have much magic damage on their team, right? So if they have, like, Leona Ashe, but then the rest of their team is, Zed, Hecarim, Fiora, or something like that, right? Like, all AD, with just, like, a lot of CC that you need to respect, then that feels bad. So I think health is a good all-around general stat, because you're not buying this to deal with magic damage. You're buying this to deal with CC, which is correlated. Sometimes a lot of champions that do CC, do a lot of CC, also do magic damage, but not always. So I like that. They're also nerfing the healing and shielding power. This is another stat that's unique to enchanters, so that's like one of the only other ways they can scale. I mean, you could put AP on the item, Enchanters do kind of scale with AP, a lot of them as well. But heal and shield power is a much more pure stat to affect enchanters. Now, maybe they think that giving it this harmony is going to balance out the loss of the ability haste. I just feel like that's not right. I just don't think that harmony is going to do that much. I don't think it matters. Harmony on Athene's Unholy Grail back in the day, like, that was actually nice because I believe that gave you extra AP, like a lot of AP eventually. Like, you'd have over 100 on that item because I believe it converted your mana regen into AP. It was like 25 base mana regen converted over to 5 AP or something like that. Anyways, I don't like the change. I think it's bad. And then same thing with Redemption. Now it doesn't have ability haste, so I'm not sure. People might still get Redemption. Has a little bit higher HP, 50? But it has less healing and shielding power. The mana regen just, even modern day enchanters, you just don't need that as much, right? Because you're probably already going like mana flow band, because you're going to go airy or, you know, maybe sometimes comet. So you're going to have mana flow band. You're going to have your warding item, which is going to have a decent amount of mana regen. And again, you're going to have to back like every minute to go get wards. A lot of times as a support, every minute and a half. So unless you're just constantly running around spamming your abilities, then it's not a problem. And you can just get like Tear of the Goddess. If you're Sona, you know, and you just like chew through the mana super fast, you can just get a Tear, which is relatively cheap as well, and builds into a decent item. So I just don't like the regen, like, on these completed items. Like, definitely not taking away, you know, more valuable stats and going with the regen. So I think that's going to be really rough for enchanters. They do have a couple of things coming up in a second that I think will be nice, but that's kind of rough. Now, this is another one that's really bad. So they're lowering the stats, which on Staff of Flowing Water might be good. I think it's either 23 or 2400 gold, but they're taking away on Staff 15 ability power, which is a lot. And they had already taken away the healing and shielding a while ago. Now, this does have a really powerful aura, so people might still like this, and getting this tempo-wise 200 or 300 gold cheaper, maybe it's worth it for that aura. That aura is pretty specific, though. Like, obviously, most of the time, as a support, you're working with an 80 carry, and most 80 carries don't benefit a ton from ability haste and ability power, except for, like, Ezreal. I mean, I know people think of, there's a few more, like, maybe Varus. There are some, Kaisa, but it's just kind of weird to begin with. But okay, I mean, losing 15 is a lot, though. That's like 300 something gold worth of value, even though you are saving 300, I guess. The overall product is bad, and I just don't think anyone's gonna get Ardent Censor. Like, Ardent, I believe, had 30 AP. Or 60 AP because it was less powerful than Staff, so they gave it more AP to try to compensate for that. So if that's the case, they're losing 25 ability power, and just those, it's just really underwhelming. The attack speed and on-hit damage is like, yes, it's AoE, but for a lot of champions, that's really not going to be as beneficial as Staff of Flowing Water. I think almost everybody in the game benefits from ability haste, but not everyone's going to benefit that much from attack speed and on-hit damage, right? It's like specific classes of champions. And even these days with Staff of Flowing Water, like the AP, there's so many random champions that just have AP ratios, even stuff, you know, again, Kaisa, Varus, Ezreal, Kog'Maw, that you're still getting some value out of that, so I don't know. No one, or very few people buy Ardent Censor outside of like Lulu or other champs that just like boost up a lot of attack speed and on-hit damage themselves. So I think this is just going to make it even worse. So yeah, not good news so far for enchanters. Hurricane, say what the changes are. I don't know what those are. It's the 30 magic damage on hit. Did it used to be physical damage? Is that the change? Because I think it did some attack damage before, but I'm not sure how much that's going to matter. Recur Bow, also magic damage. I think that used to be physical damage. If they're switching, if it's just switching to magic damage from physical, It depends on the champ and what your itemization is going to be. My initial thoughts are that's probably bad because then if you get a penetration item, like a Lord Dom's, then that's not going to help you out. But if you're not going to get a penetration item, then that could actually be good because then you have diverse damage. So, I don't know. I'm not really sure what the thought process is. Probably just to give a little bit more diversity to damage. Okay. And then Bloodthirster is now you get extra damage based on your health level. So you heal up, and if you stay healthy, you do more damage. I like that. I think they needed to get rid of the shield. And it's just too many shields, right? If you have like Shield Bow plus Bloodthirster, Overheal, and then you got like an Enchanter, you know, or something like that, it's just too goofy to break through all that. So I think that's probably a healthier play pattern. So you get that if you just want a lot of AD, basically. If you don't care as much about the attack speed, if you're a champion that just wants to stay healthy and just kill people with your abilities, that's probably going to be pretty good for Samira, maybe Jhin, Draven. Oh, it's going to be great for Draven. You know, he scales so well with raw AD. So we'll see. But overall, I think they're on the right path there. I think getting rid of the shield's a good idea. And that just promoted really passive play where you would just, you know, hold on, guys, I can't team fight right now. Let me go stack up this shield on Raptors really quick. Like that type of stuff. It was just sort of goofy. Abyssal Mask, I like this. I wish that they would have more of these kind of mid-range items at 2400 to 2600 range, so that either supports could get it, or if you just want a little bit of a tempo advantage, but you want to be weaker, maybe overall, than a top laner or a jungler could get it. Now, I'm not sure what they are nerfing here. Like, what are they taking off? Because I feel like right now, like, it's, what, 2,800 gold? I guess, are they lowering the health? It doesn't say what the change is, I don't think. No, it just says changes. Okay. But I like that overall, having some kind of debuffer item. I believe it has, like, 400 health. I could look it up, but whatever. I'm not gonna... This video is already gonna be long enough. Okay, so you can only be cursed by one enemy, so curse is a new keyword. And the most potent curse will do that. So I wonder what else is considered a curse. Certain kinds of slows. I guess a Moo with the ult. So you can't stack this with a Moo anymore, I guess. I mean, his thing's probably a curse where people take extra magic damage. Okay. Either way, I think that's nice. People aren't going to get it all the time. It is a little weird that you have magic resist on it. So now it's probably only going to be useful in situations where they have a lot of magic damage and your team has a lot of magic damage. And that's kind of weird because most metas are, a lot of the DPS is more heavily weighted towards physical damage. You've got magic from, like, burst champs. I guess it depends. You know, if you have magic damage junglers that are popular, maybe this gets a little bit better. So it'll probably be good. It'll probably be good, but, like, situational. And then Divine Sunder, there's a picture of it. Again, I don't have every item in the game memorized. I'm not sure exactly what they're changing there, but okay, it's still a mythic. I mean, yeah, it looks like it'll still be good in situations where it's good. Okay, and then Trinity Force, again, not entirely sure what's changed there, but sure. Gore Drinker, okay, now they're telling me. Higher, So, Gore Drinker gets higher Mythic AP, Stride Breaker gets more AD, and Hole Breaker gets more AD and movement speed. Okay, so Gore is 300 health. Oh, Mythic. Okay, so down here, the Mythic bonuses. Sure. How much extra? Is that like 25? So when you get to like 3 items, you get like 75 more health or something? Okay. Stride, more AD. It says 5 extra AD. That's probably fine, I guess. That's one of the lesser toxic items, in my opinion. Like, it's still pretty good, but at least it doesn't have, like, lifesteal. I mean, I guess it still has the wave clear a little bit. Um, I can't see the Hull Breaker one. But it says Hull Breaker gets more 8. I think Hull Breaker is a pretty terribly designed item in general, but okay, I guess. Locket build path. I wish they would tell me again what this item is first. They tell you later, but this is just kind of all over the place. It's just like a vomit of information. I mean, maybe it was released. It looks like this was 2 days ago. Maybe it's just being released randomly. But that item there is 150 health, 20 armor, and 100% base health regen. So they're going to have to change the stats on this around. Obviously, it's 200 less. So it's still going to have health armor, but now it's going to have like health regen mixed in there somewhere. This regen thing doesn't build out of a rejuve bead either, which is kind of weird. But that's like replacing Aegis, I guess, in Kindle Gem. Did it have it had ability haste on it, I think, right? So I don't know. We'll have to see when they come up with this. That's a bit odd. I do like the cheaper price point, but health regen, again, is a garbage stat outside of laning phase. There's so many other ways you can deal with poke now. With a lot of modern tanks have ways to heal. You can get second wind. So I think that like maybe having some health regen options early on, like Relic Shield itself gives you some health regen. So having some early on you can get, I guess, is okay. But I feel like there are a lot of items now that are getting health regen on it that you don't need. Like, you don't need your Relic Shield plus your Locket plus your Knight's Vow to all have health regen on it. Like, that's just too much. So again, maybe a Mythic, which I guess that is the Mythic, could have a little bit just so you can build an early, like, Reju bead, but I don't know. So we'll have to see what these stats are. It's like, what else are they nerfing, though, about this? Are they nerfing the armor and the magic resist on it? Are they going to make it 20/20 instead of 25/25? I don't know. We'll have to see. Okay, Sterix. Radiant Virtue. I mean, this looks really good to me. So they're taking off 500 gold and a little bit of health. What is it right now? 400 health? I mean, that looks really solid. And then it's giving less health overall. For 9 seconds. Yeah. Increasing your max health by 12.5. What is it right now? 15? You heal for 10% of your max health. You and allies. Okay, heal for 10% of max health. I think that's really good. 500 less gold for marginally less stats. Hold on, they're taking away what? 10 ability haste also. So it's 10 ability haste. I believe 50 health. It might be 100 health. So that's like 300, 350 gold value. And then I think the max health is down. I could be wrong about that. Either way, that's good. I mean, in general, if they take away a certain amount of stats and they make the item cheaper, usually that's good because you're getting paid out in tempo. And completing items is better than just raw stats most of the time. So in other words, the fact that you can complete this faster, 500 gold faster, then that's 500 gold towards your next item that's going to have the completion bonus of the passive or the active or whatever. And that's where you get a lot of value out of most items. It's when it's completed and you get the special thing that goes beyond the stats. So yeah, I think that's really, really good. Is everyone going to get this? Maybe. I think we might go back to Radiant. I mean, Rakan was really good in that meta too. But this might... You got to be careful because this is an item that just has too much. Like that stat line is really good. And the ability just to heal everybody, like, no questions asked, right? You don't have to hit a skill shot with Redemption. And it's on a lower cooldown. And it also, like, increases your health by a lot. Like, like that's incredibly powerful, and the range is like huge. It's a 1200 range radius around you. Um, so yeah, that might be too good. Moonstone Renewer ability power is down by what, 5? Cost is down by 200. And then healing or shielding an ally basically bounces to other people. Okay, and so it does a little bit less to if there's just 2 people around, but you get a bonus if there's 3 people around. So it's basically like a chain heal. Now that's gonna be crazy on someone like Soraka. I don't know if it's a single cast or each person that's like hit by something gets the bonus. So like Moonstone on like Sona or something, where you're shielding like 3 people, it doesn't look like there's a cooldown. So if you heal somebody and shield them with Sona, someone else is going to get like a good bonus. Now that can't happen to you. That seems like super, super strong on healing and shielding, especially AoE healing and shielding. If it's not per cast, if it's per target, and you have multi-target effects, that seems really good. So, man, would someone like Rakan even like this? I mean, you've got your Q, which is a decent heal, and then like your shield, you get to shield twice. It's like 40%. I mean, that's 40% extra healing and shielding effectively. Whenever you shield somebody, it's pretty dang close. It's either 30 or 40. That is a lot. Jeez. Yeah, I feel like it's gonna be too strong. I mean, obviously on someone like a Soraka, Sona, but yeah, maybe even just anyone that heals and shields, like 40% is a lot because you don't have to warm it up. Like the big problem with the previous Moonstone is you had to warm it up. So like your first heal didn't get any bonus really. So it's just kind of goofy. But now it just works all the time and doesn't seem to have a cooldown on it. Okay, that's extremely good. So yeah, I guess maybe they're thinking that the Mythic's just going to be insane, so it's okay if you nerf the other items. Force of Nature. That also is going to spread healing for stuff like Staff of Flowing Water and make that even easier to spread that around to everybody. So maybe Moonstone Staff is just going to be the ticket. Okay, Force of Nature. Sorry, let me send just this text real quick. Okay, again, I don't know, like these stats, they say, here's the change. I don't know what it is, but already this is pretty strong. So if the change is a buff, which is what it looks like, I think it's cheaper, I think, then this is going to be pretty strong. 10% move speed, 300. So you're going to have 90 magic resist, basically. Yeah, it's super good. Okay, Legendary Imperial Mandate. Now, this is pretty nice, too. I mean, maybe Janna? It's ability, so this doesn't work with the rune, Glacial Augment. But, like, Janna, you got your Q, your W, and your ult can all trigger this. So, it's losing the health. It's keeping the ability haste. It's 200 gold cheaper, and it's getting 15 ability power. So 200 health is about 500 gold. 15 ability power is 300-ish gold. And you're saving 200. So that's, again, like cost neutral, but it's cheaper overall now. And if you can just position well or you have some other way to protect yourself, then this could be even stronger because now you're going to have AP instead of health. So I don't know on the damage front if that's what it's always been. I think that looks the same to me. So yeah, I mean that looks really good. Okay, so maybe it's Moonstone Mandate then. I think there definitely are more options on the table here because those two are good. You know, I think Redemption and Ardent Censor might be out. Redemption definitely does lose value without the current Moonstone because the current Moonstone improves your overall plus healing and shielding by a lot, so that makes Redemption a lot more valuable. But now that it doesn't do that, now that it's just a straight up, like, more heal, then it doesn't have that same synergy with Redemption. I mean, Redemption does give the plus healing and shielding, but they just lowered it to 15 from, I think it's like, what, 18? 16, 17, something like that. But they lowered the plus healing and shielding, then it doesn't have that two-way synergy. It's just one way. So, yeah, that's interesting. Okay, again, like, not as interested in this. Mana regen, health regen. It's okay, I guess. Okay, Lord Doms. What's the change? Here's changes. Guess what they are. Deal 25% bonus physical and magic damage against champions with greater max health than you. That is so weird because it's only armor pen though. It's not magic pen. I guess just for champions that just do incidental magic damage. But those champs wouldn't get this as much. Right? I mean, are you going to get this on, like, Ezreal? Kaisa, I guess? So it helps out, like, Kaisa, whose W just does incidental magic damage. Kog'Maw, but Kog'Maw's not going to build this item, probably, because he does a lot of magic damage. Like, it's probably someone who just does enough physical damage where you want the armor pen, but just happens to, again, just kind of accidentally has some spells that do magic damage too. Maybe Varus? It still has the crit on it. That's just kind of odd. Stormrazor, attack damage, attack speed, crit. So it does magic damage now again. So you're doing mixed damage. That seems to be a theme where they're like encouraging mixed damage so that stacking one type of resist is less effective against most teams. But it also makes like penetration, lethality, all that stuff less useful. And then this does bonus magic damage. That is very expensive. 3,000 gold is a lot. It does have a lot of like stuff on it. Again, it's like just super item bloat. But, okay. Magic damage also doesn't crit, but I think, like, on-hit physical damage doesn't crit either, so... I guess it's just more mixed damage. Okay, so Kraken, instead of true damage, this is doing magic damage now. Now, this is also not a mythic, it's legendary. So you could get this in addition to something else. Not having the true damage is a pretty big nerf though. But at least it is mixed damage there. So again, you can't stack all armor. So this is just going to make like health a lot more valuable overall because just it looks like armor in general in the game is going to be a little bit less of a valuable stat because all of these items are diversifying away from physical damage for physical damage users. It's giving a lot of them mixed damage on the effects. So every third attack does 20 plus, is that 60%? I don't know if that's total AD or bonus AD on that symbol. Probably bonus. Magic damage. Now, it triggers on the same target for an extra 50% damage if you trigger it twice. So if you're trying to break tanks, you'll get this. It has less AD overall. Doesn't it currently have like 40 or 55 AD or something? At least 50. And the price is not going down that much, right? Isn't it like 3,200 right now? It's yikes. Even if it's only losing 10 AD, that's still 350 gold worth of AD. And the active is a lot worse. I don't think people are going to build this. Maybe. I don't know. Like, you have crit, but it also feels like a lot of champs, you know, maybe you just want Blather and King or something instead if you want to take down tanks. Now, Blade doesn't have crit on it, but I feel like it's going to potentially do a lot more proc damage. And it has lifesteal. I don't know. I mean, people might also just want like a Zeal item instead. So you could go like, I don't know what you'd rush. Like Zeal item, Infinity Edge. Maybe shield bow. Zeal item, Infinity Edge. I'm not sure. I mean, maybe you still get this against tanks. That does seem like a lot of extra proc damage off of that. So yeah, maybe that extra proc damage is compensating for the loss of 10 AD, and I'm just really underestimating that. People probably still get it, I guess, to be strong. Gale Force, okay. Unique Mythic. Stat Bloat. I guess if Kraken was 3,400, which Gale Force is, then maybe the 3,000 is reasonable. Deals 150... plus 250 physical damage. Oh, that's critical strike extra damage. Okay, so if you have 40 crit, then that would be what, 100 extra damage? Seems like a lot. So that'd be like, 300 or 400 burst. I mean, it seems like it's similar enough to where it is. The same people still get it in the same situations. It'll probably get it even more now that like Shield Bow is not a mythic. You gotta be careful with this item not being a mythic. That means kind of everybody can get survivability and crit as like second or third item without giving up too much like early damage. Now, it is 30% attack speed instead of like big lifesteal when that's triggered, but you still get the permanent 7% lifesteal. And it's cheaper, right, at 3,000. The AD is about the same. Why does Shield Bow do more AD than Kraken? I guess it's, again, because of the procking on Kraken. Being able to proc multiple times. Yeah, I think this is going to be a very popular item, third or fourth, if you need the protection, the lifelines. That's a pretty big shield, especially later on. Okay, Static Shiv is back. 3,000, 45, 25%, 20%. Deals 60 to 100. Increase to such and such against minions. It's up to 12 targets. God, dude, that's so much damage. And a 50% of your bonus magic damage is applied to it now. They're like AP Varus or AP Kog'Maw. Like, what is this supposed to be? It's just so weird to have magic damage scaling and critical strike on a on the same champ. Okay, yeah. I mean, that was a really good item. Like, it's got nice burst, has good wave clear, really good team fight damage. I mean, if you're doing 100 damage to 5 targets in a team fight, that's, 500 burst damage. So, I don't know that people are going to go back to double Zeal, but I could definitely see this as being extremely popular on a lot of champs' second or third item, especially champs that don't have a lot of wave clear. maybe with Gensu's, because that would, like, the extra attack would trigger more energized. I'm not sure, like, Cog or Vayne or something. I know they're changing Gensu's too. We'll see that in a second. Okay, Navori. Okay, so now it's Mythic. Attack damage, crit, ability haste, your attacks reduce. Oh wow. Your abilities deal up to 20% increased damage based on critical strike rating. So basically, what, every 20% crit is 4% more damage on your abilities? Who wants this? Kaisa? Sivir? Okay, so you still can't get Navori plus Infinity Edge, though, because now Infinity Edge is going to be Mythic as well. Okay, now this is something you could actually run that I think could be pretty good. Like, the build path is pretty legit. Again, I'm not sure everybody who's going to want this. Dude, Ezreal? I mean, Ezreal, the crit's not, like, amazing, and it's not going to scale with this, like, super well. We'll see. I mean, I guess the champs right now that want Navori are probably still going to want Navori off of this. Mythic Infinity Edge. So now it's just straight up extra 35% critical strike damage. You don't have to have the, 40% to make this work. So, does it still build out a BF sword? Oh, here we go. We're back again. Do you get this first item now? Infinity Edge first or not? The old question. It's got 70 AD on it. It's got the crit. It's got the crit bonus. Because that is such an obnoxious build order, like having to get BF sword first. But if you're the person who can do it, if you get a really good back timing and you come back to lane with that BF sword, you can definitely clap people in the laning phase. So this is kind of old school versus new school. Pain in the ass components, but with really good back timings, really good clapping going on. 5 attack damage is quite good, I think, compared to some other bonuses. That's like 150 gold for that bonus. I mean, it's not like insane, I guess, but it's pretty good. I mean, someone like Jin obviously is going to love this. Caitlyn might like this. I mean, what are your other options that have been taken out? Like, so Shield Bow's out. So you can go Navori. Kraken's out. Infinity Edge, Navori. I have to think about the others. But, I mean, obviously this is a lot better later on. So people, again, might skip this. I could see people skipping this, going like Static Shiv first, although it doesn't build that much faster. It's 3,000 gold for the Static Shiv. But you could go Static Shiv first for the wave clear, and then go Infinity Edge second or something. The wave clear, the attack speed, the proc damage, especially with Kerchai's Shard being a little bit better for trading early on. Okay, then we've got Gensu's 30 magic damage on hit. Your critical strike is converted up to 230 magic damage. Okay. Basic attacks grant 8% attack speed, so up to 32% attack speed. Then every third attack applies on hits. Now it's a mythic. I don't know if the stat line is worth. I'd have to do the math on that, but I love that they needed to. I've been saying this ever since they came up with the mythic system. They need an on-hit item. It needs to either be Blade the Ruined King or Gensu's, and I guess they decided to go with Gensu's because that can help out certain kinds of hybrid mage type of champions too. Now, you get 5% armor pin and 6% magic pin. That's really good, right? For a mythic. So, who's going to want this? Can't really be Kaisa, can it? Because she has to get a certain AD threshold, and this is a low AD item. I mean, obviously, like, Cog... Would Vayne want this? She doesn't really do a lot with the ability power. Like, Cog, Varus... I guess anyone right now that would want it. But yeah, it is a little awkward. The ability power is a little awkward on someone like Vayne. Obviously, she likes the double proc, but the ability power itself feels sort of weird. Okay, Prowler's Claw. After dashing, blinking, or exiting stealth, your next attack on a champion deals extra damage. So, it does not have the jump itself, which kind of sucks because that was what made it unique. Um, but you can trigger it multiple times in a fight, so 5-second cooldown. You can hit that 2 or 3 times for champs that can blink or go invisible a lot. Okay, Dustblade. Your abilities now deal 15% based on the target's missing health all the time. So that's pretty good. So when a champion you have damaged in the last 3 seconds dies, you become untargetable. Towers can still hit you. Other stuff cannot for 10 seconds. So you don't go invisible anymore, so that plus the new Prowler's Claw do not synergize together. This is also not mythic, right? Yeah, this does not have a mythic bonus. So a lot of people can get this. This might be a fairly common item to buy because, like, for anyone that kind of blinks around or, like, dashes around a lot. I mean, would you even want this on, like, Ezreal? I think there are some builds, right, where you would go Essence Reaver and then some item. I think people would go Dustblade before, but maybe you could go this. And every time you blink, you do a bit of extra damage. Ezreal can blink every 5 seconds or so in the mid to late game off of his Qs. Maybe. Let's see. Dustblade, would he like that? That has ability haste. This does too. You might still get this on Ezreal. This is a mythic. If you want to go for that kind of goofy build on him. Okay, Youmuu's is a mythic. Gain 25% speed and ghosting for 6 seconds. Okay, so you can run through stuff. You're a little bit faster. And you generate haunt stacks. So whenever you're running, you gain up to 50 out of combat movement speed. And at max, you get 10 to 20 lethality that falls off after 4 seconds. Okay. So rotating and just like opening on someone, you could just almost blow them up, right? It's like basically like you have 2 lethality items worth of lethality. That's pretty good. Yeah. I mean, it seems legit. It has more AD, more lethality on it. It's about the same price. All your legendary items give 8 attack damage, even better than Infinity Edge's 5. Okay, yeah, I like it. Echoes of Helia. Okay, I think this might be the last item. I know we're almost at an hour here. New support mythic replacing Imperial Mayonnaise. So remember, Imperial Mayonnaise just slotting down to legendary. So you're just getting 1 extra item in general. Damaging a champion grants a soul shard up to a maximum of 2. Healing or shielding an ally consumes these and gives 40... Wait. Okay, it is mythic. 40 to 100... So about 80 healing and deals 150-ish damage per shard to the nearest champion. So this is kind of like Unholy Grail. They even are calling it Dissonance. Okay, the AP is lower than Moonstone, barely. Moonstone's what, 45? Because that's kind of... It's weird that those are competing for the same thing, I think. But this does damage. It's basically like sustained healing or shielding on people. It like gets buffed. This you have to do damage, I guess. Moonstone you don't. That's kind of crazy because it's not a percentage of damage dealt. So even like auto attacks or like little small poke abilities. Wait, would Airy count with this? So like if you're Sona and you just Q, it would hit him with the Q and hit him with Airy. Would that give you 2 stacks? Surely it's per cast, not per instance. Because then also something like Scorch could give you a stack. Um, Even if it's just, you know, per auto attack or ability, right? If you just Q with Sona auto attack, it's already 2 stacks. And then you just W, and you heal for a flat amount. So, like, Sona's heal is pretty low. It's like 40 or something early on. So, being able to heal for an extra 40 is like 100% extra healing on that. And you do a lot of extra damage off of it. Yeah. I mean, this just kind of has Sona written all over it. Now, I don't know, like, I guess with Moonstone, it's kind of the pure team fight healing play. This is more of like, I want to poke and dominate the lane, and maybe team fight. So it's really Sona. I mean, who else, like, could Rakan get this? Maybe? I mean, if you W on somebody and then auto attack them, and then you heal back, you like shield back to your ally, you're going to heal your ally for, you know, whatever that number is, 80, and deal whatever. Hold on, let me think. Okay, if you W in, knock them up, auto attack, Q, shield back. Now, if you have Guardian as well, if you're peeling an ally, let's see, if you W, knock them up, auto, like Guardian procs, and then you Q, I don't know. It feels like Rakan, like there are a lot of ways to trigger this potentially. Especially if you like RN, W, that's 2 hits. And then Guardian procs, you would unleash this extra damage plus a heal. And then you can auto attack Q and then shield back. And you would trigger it again for an additional heal. And, you know, an additional amount of damage. And then you could, you know, Q and auto. I don't know. It feels like you could trigger this a lot, especially because the ways you can heal with Rakan, you've got Guardian, potentially. You've got something like Ares only going to trigger off of your E. You can like E twice. You can Q, which is a heal. Guardian. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that like does a heal to other people. Font. That counts as a healing coming from you. Yeah, Font. I think. Especially if you want to go like Staff of Flowing Water, that's really good with Font. So yeah, put Font on him, and then just every time you hit him with anything, right? Like Q's just auto attacking in fights. This is gonna trigger on, you know, off of Font. So yeah, I mean, this seems like extremely strong because the way that it's worded. As long as that heal like can trigger off of runes as well. I mean, even if it can't, it's gonna be good. But yeah, I mean, maybe you get this. So maybe Moonstone on like the pure like spamming healers, like the Soraka, maybe Sona. But this would be good on Sona too, and like maybe Rakan. I don't know if this is going to displace Shirelia's, but it certainly looks like it could be pretty good. It does have health on it too. It's basically got a very similar stat line to Shirelia's. I think Shirelia's might have 40 AP on it, but it's pretty close. Yeah, this looks pretty OP. The more I look at this and think about it, if it has all the interactions that I'm brainstorming here, I think it'd be really good. But anyways, that's gonna be it. Thank you very much. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Come by, check out the stream. It's around 10 p.m. Eastern Standard most nights. Let me know what you think in the comments. Are there any more items that you think look really cool? Are there some interactions I didn't think of? And yeah, that's it. Have a good day. See you next time.